Good morning, Rebecca Vigus, the writer whisperer here from a sunny South Central Kentucky. Believe it or not, this is the third day of December and it's supposed to be 70 degrees out. Really? Amazing. Okay, today we're going to talk about procrastination in your writing. Joel Saltzman here. Yeah. If writing's so wonderful, what's stopping me? Perfectionism. The I have to get it right the first time syndrome. I know. You want to make it brilliant the first time out. It's a nice idea, but it doesn't work that way. The way perfectionism works is to tie you up in knots, send you fleeing from your desk, and making you so crazy you can't write a word. Been there, done that. It does. First draft is not going to be perfect. Option one, if you want to create massive writer's block, insist on being a perfectionist. If you want to snuff out the creative impulse, insist on being a perfectionist. If you want to torture yourself for the rest of your life for never being good enough, insist on being a perfectionist. Option two, insist on not being a perfectionist. Insist on it. But if I'm not a perfectionist, won't that result in sloppy work? Not at all. But it will give you the freedom to start writing without having a panic attack before the first word ever hits the page. A lot of creative people have learned this crucial lesson, usually by starting out by wanting to make it perfect. Until one day, it just suddenly dawns on them, I'm just starting out here. Who the hell am I to demand perfection of myself? I don't even have a prayer of making it perfect. In 1965, Bob Dylan wrote, I have given up at making any attempt at perfection. That's perfect. Meanwhile, Dylan went on to write and record hundreds of songs, became a songwriting legend, and win a Grammy Award for Lifetime Achievement. Why did he do this? Because he stopped trying to be perfect. Maybe this letting go of perfectionism isn't such a bad idea after all. It might even get me writing for a change. A not so secret formula for procrastination. Chances are you've already discovered this award losing formula for yourself. Maybe you even practice it by not writing every day. But just to clarify things, it works like this. Perfectionism leads to paralysis, which leads to procrastination. As a victim of perfectionism, you're constantly telling yourself, watch my grammar, spelling, sentence structure. It's got to be perfect. Unfortunately, this soon results in paralysis. The numbing sensation, realization that I want to make it perfect, but I don't know how to make it perfect. The next thing you know, it's I'll see if the mail's here. I'll make some coffee. I'll make some phone calls. I'll procrastinate by doing nothing that's not writing. By doing anything that's not writing. How many of you do this? Raise your hand. I've been there. I'll give you another example in a minute. But I'm not procrastinating. I'm trying to write. What you're doing is starting to write, then stopping yourself. Sometimes after just a word or two, because it should be perfect, but it's not even close. This is a brilliant, foolproof strategy. By refusing to accept anything less than perfection, you've reduced your failure rate to 0%. It's not perfect, you don't write it. Zero. Problem is, you've done the same thing to your success rate. Oh, wait, you don't write it, you don't gain success. Zero. If living your life as a perfectionist is netting you 0 pages a day and driving you up a wall, you can remain a perfectionist and wonder why nothing changes, or you can adopt a much saner, more productive point of view. Progress, not perfection. I first encountered this saying when a friend came over wearing it on a t-shirt. I dragged him to the local copy shop, had him take off his t-shirt, and we photocopied it on the spot. This message, based on the teaching of Alcoholics Anonymous, sits in a small frame above my desk and saves my life at least once a day. It reminds me not to even try for perfection, because the more I try for it, the less I get done. Instead, I look over my work and I ask myself, is it better than it was before? Is it less terrible than it was an hour ago? If it is, I know I'm making progress, even if I'm far from perfect. Remember, no one can make it perfect. You can't. I can't. I don't even want to. Perfection is man's ultimate illusion. It simply doesn't exist in the universe. If you are a perfectionist, you are guaranteed to be a loser in whatever you do. David Burns, MD. Okay, your prompt for today is to take a sheet of paper. I want you to list all the reasons that you do not write. Every single one of them. There should be at least 10. I know of 20 or 30, but there should be at least 10. When you are done, look at this list and turn every sentence into a positive. And the positive that resonates with you most, take out a sheet of paper and start writing about it. I was at a conference, and the lunchtime keynote speaker was a woman who said, we quite often treat our writing like lovers. We put it on the shelf and walk away from it, knowing that when we're ready to come back to it, it is waiting for us. And we work with it and we work with it, and then we walk away again. If you want to write a book, any book, you can't treat writing like a lover. It can't sit on the shelf. I have been guilty of this at times. And every time I realize this is what I'm doing, I get angry with myself. If you are a writer, write. If you are not doing 3 8.5 by 11 sheets, front and back, every morning for morning pages, I want to know why. because all that is a brain dump. Everything that's bothering you, everything that you're happy about, every idea you've ever thought of should all be in your morning pages. No one is ever going to read your morning pages. They're yours. Does that mean you won't get a good idea from it? Oh no, you might get a great idea from it. You might even get a whole book from it. And that would be fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. You cannot, however, be a writer if you do not write. I write every day. Letters, lists, morning pages. Sometimes I even write in my work in progress. Imagine that. I try to do it every day, writing my work in progress. Today was the day I was supposed to have it done. My own self imposed deadline. Done and ready to go in to the design team. And it's not. And I could give you a ton of excuses, but I won't. Will I work on it today? Oh, yes. Did I work on it over the holiday? Oh, no. I took it with me, but I didn't work on it. I didn't do a whole lot on my computer over the holiday because you know what? It was more important to be with my family. So, yeah, sometimes family gets in the way. Sometimes going to make that cup of tea is more important than writing the next word. I had a little program um, that I could put on Facebook and it would tell me how many words I'd written that day and what I was writing in, what piece of writing I was working on, and how many words I'd written that day. I loved it. It made me accountable. Find yourself a program that does that, that asks you every day how much you have written. It doesn't have to go on Facebook. Be accountable. Find a writing buddy. Be accountable to that writing buddy. These things are important. You can get lost in the loneliness of writing if you don't actively write or seek others who do. If you don't have any accountability to anyone. And that's sad because 92% of people in the world want to write a book. 92%. Of that 92%, 20 of them write a book. 20% of them. Of that 20%, 5% get published. That's really sad. It's really sad. And I just don't know. I just don't know why. I don't understand why. I was 10 when somebody told me they would see me in books. I believed them and I wrote. And we moved after my 6th grade year to a new district. So I started 7th grade not knowing anyone because we moved in like the week before school started. Even had friends to, I didn't even have neighbors at that point. We moved into a motel because we sold our house. And it was 2 weeks before we could get permission to move a mobile home onto the property we were building on. So I really didn't have anybody but my family. And the first 2 weeks of 7th grade were traumatic, and it didn't get better. And I was ridiculed for writing poetry. And my writing teachers told me they didn't know why I wanted to write. I was nothing outstanding. And you know what my high school teachers are saying now? I knew her when. Imagine that. I wasn't good enough to write, but now that I've written books, they knew me when. They didn't know me at all. No more than my college professor who told me I had talent, but she didn't know how to help me develop it. Really? What good were they? I read books. And this book, and a dozen more that are sitting next to me to help me learn how to write. What are you doing to help yourself write? Find a coach. Go to my Aspiring Writers page on Facebook. Go to my website, www.rebeccavigas.com. Contact me if you see anything on there that sparks your interest. And don't tell me, oh, but I don't want to write fiction. There's a freelance writing course right on the first page. It's self-study. You can do it right on your own. You have access for life. Also get into my tribe by signing up for a course. Some of my courses aren't there yet. I'm working on them, guys. I also do consulting for writers on how to better market their books. So, with that in mind, start writing. Have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Bye now.